Welcome to World Information HD, where we unearth the secrets hiding in plain sight. Today, we're diving into a world of tiny treasures, the top 10 rare Lincoln 1 cent, wheat, pennies that could be worth millions. These humble coins, once common in piggy banks and loose change, hide extraordinary stories, from wartime minting mistakes to low-mintage legends. Whether it's a 1943 penny struck on bronze by accident or famed double-die errors, these pennies aren't just cents, they're potential fortunes. Stick around. By the end, you might just realize you've been carrying a piece of numismatic history. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing and valuable coins in American numismatic history, the 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln 1 cent, better known as the wheat penny. These little copper coins may seem ordinary at first glance, but collectors know that hidden within the seemingly simple design is a story, a legacy, and sometimes, astonishing monetary value. The Lincoln wheat penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. At the time, the United States Mint wanted to create a coin that would honor the nation's beloved 16th president, while also appealing to the general public. The obverse, or front, features a finely detailed portrait of Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner. It was the first time an American president appeared on a regularly circulating coin. The reverse side, which collectors affectionately call the wheat ears side, shows two sheaves of wheat surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America, symbolizing prosperity and abundance. This wheat design would continue until 1958. Giving these pennies their iconic nickname, the wheat penny. Now, let's focus on the 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. The year 1941 is particularly fascinating because it sits at a historical crossroads. The United States was on the brink of entering World War II, and coin production was ramping up in preparation for the turbulent times ahead. Unlike other coins from years when multiple mints were involved, the 1941 no-mint mark penny was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which historically did not carry a mint mark. This makes it a little simpler to identify but no less valuable, especially when considering its rarity in pristine condition. Philadelphia's minting practices in 1941 produced millions of coins. On the surface, it may seem like scarcity wouldn't apply here, but the true magic lies in the coin's condition and subtle variations. Collectors know that even pennies from years with high production numbers can hold incredible value if they exhibit exceptional preservation. A 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln penny that has been well cared for, showing strong luster, crisp details on Lincoln's hair and the wheat ears, and free from significant scratches or wear, can fetch prices far beyond what one might expect for a coin that originally circulated for mere cents. When examining a 1941 Lincoln wheat penny, there are several key points to consider. First, look at the coin's obverse. Lincoln's facial features should be sharply defined, and the lines of his coat and beard should be clear. Any softness in these details can indicate circulation wear. Next, the reverse is equally critical. The wheat ears must show distinct lines, and the lettering should be bold and legible. Coins that exhibit these traits are often graded highly by professional coin grading services, and their value skyrockets as a result. Collectors are also drawn to the 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln penny because of potential errors. While this year didn't produce the most dramatic minting mistakes compared to other years, subtle anomalies can appear. These may include off-center strikes, doubled dies, or small die cracks. Coins with such features are extremely rare and highly sought after. They are often the centerpiece of a serious collection, sparking bidding wars at auctions and online marketplaces. The excitement of discovering such an error coin is part of what makes collecting Lincoln wheat pennies so enthralling. The story of the coin's copper composition is equally fascinating. During this era, pennies were made primarily of copper, with just a small percentage of tin and zinc. It wasn't until the metal shortages during World War II that the composition temporarily shifted to steel in 1943. The warm, reddish tone of the 1941 pennies is cherished by collectors, and coins that retain their original color without tarnishing or discoloration are particularly prized. A coin that shows this natural, rich copper luster is considered superior and commands higher prices on the market. history aside, the market for Lincoln Wheat pennies has remained robust for decades. They are a staple for beginner collectors because of their historical significance, yet they also appeal to advanced numismatists who chase high-grade examples and rare errors. The 1941 no-mint mark penny represents a sweet spot. It's old enough to be collectible and historically significant, but not so rare that it's unattainable. Many collectors enjoy hunting for this coin in pocket change, at estate sales, or in bulk coin rolls, always hoping to stumble upon one in near-perfect condition. The intrigue of the 1941 penny is amplified when you consider its place in a broader historical context. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that was minted just months before America's entry into World War II. Picture the lives it touched, the hands it passed through, and the stories it silently witnessed. Coins like these are tangible connections to the past. They're more than money. They're miniature artifacts, frozen in time, each with a narrative that stretches far beyond its monetary face value. Collectors often discuss the importance of professional grading when it comes to Lincoln Wheat pennies. Organizations such as the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, examine coins and assign them grades on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a coin in flawless, mint condition. The grading process takes into account wear, scratches, luster, and strike quality. A 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln penny graded at the top end of this scale can be astonishingly valuable. The combination of historical relevance, preservation, and market demand creates a potent recipe for collector enthusiasm and high prices. Auction houses also play a significant role in the coins market. Coins like the 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny occasionally appear in major auctions, where bidders from across the globe compete to secure these pieces of history. Whether purchased in person or online, winning such a coin can be a thrilling experience, combining both the joy of owning history and the potential for financial gain. Some collectors even see these coins as investments, holding them carefully with the hope that future scarcity and demand will drive prices even higher. If you're considering adding a 1941 Lincoln Wheat penny to your collection, there are a few tips to keep in mind. First, always purchase from reputable dealers or auction houses. Authentication is crucial because counterfeits, while rare, do exist. Second, consider the coin's condition and provenance. Coins with documented histories often command higher premiums. Third, handle coins carefully, using gloves or soft surfaces to avoid oils and scratches. Even minor damage can significantly reduce a coin's market value. Finally, it's worth mentioning that while many wheat pennies are common, the 1941 no-mint mark penny has maintained an impressive allure for collectors. Its combination of historical significance, aesthetic appeal, and the occasional rarity or error makes it one of the most desirable coins from this era. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a hobbyist just starting out, there's something undeniably captivating about these small, copper treasures. And for those wondering about the ultimate worth, a perfect condition, highly graded 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny can achieve an astonishing price of $56,332. Yes, you heard that right. From a coin that once circulated in pocket change and cash registers across the United States, it can now become a highly prized collectible worth over $56,000. It's a testament to the enduring value of history, craftsmanship, and the thrill of collecting. So the next time you pick up a seemingly ordinary penny, take a closer look. You might just be holding a piece of history in your hands, a coin that represents not only a financial opportunity but a connection to the past that's as tangible as it is fascinating. The 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny is a reminder that even the smallest objects can carry immense stories and, occasionally, extraordinary worth. In the world of coins and small change, sometimes the most ordinary-looking pieces of metal carry extraordinary stories and hidden fortunes. Every year, millions of coins slip through the fingers of everyday people, buying coffee, paying for parking meters, sitting in pocket change jars, and collecting dust in drawers. Yet among this ocean of common currency, certain coins emerge as treasures of history, rarity, and immense value. Today, we turn our focus to one such coin that has captured the attention of collectors across the United States and beyond, the 1942 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny. At first glance, it may look like any other dark copper cent minted during the World War II era. But the deeper you go, the more fascinating this small coin becomes. The 1942 Lincoln penny was minted at a crucial moment in American history. The United States had just entered World War II, and every factory, mine, and refinery was redirected toward the war effort. Everything from metals to machinery was being rationed, repurposed, and reassigned. Copper was one of the most valuable wartime resources, used for ammunition, communications wiring, military machinery, and essential infrastructure. Even the penny itself would famously change composition just 1 year later, when in 1943 it was minted in zinc-coated steel to save copper for the military. But 1942 was the final full year that copper wheat pennies were struck before this temporary change, and because of that, every surviving piece carries with it a connection to a remarkable moment in history. The no-mint mark 1942 penny refers specifically to the coins minted at the Philadelphia Mint. Philadelphia, as the oldest and largest mint in the nation, produced a major portion of all U.S. coinage, and therefore its coins typically carry no identifying mint mark. At first, this makes the 1942 penny seem fairly common, but as collectors know well, not all coins are created equal. Condition, rarity, mintage errors, and historical context can transform a single penny from a simple copper disc worth 1 cent into a museum piece or prized auction star worth thousands. Millions of 1942 pennies were produced, but most did not survive in high-quality condition. Coins from this era circulated heavily, traveling through countless hands during the difficult wartime years when money was stretched thin and few people had the luxury of saving coins untouched. A coin that has been dropped, scraped, bent, cleaned, scratched, or spent down to a dull surface is usually considered common. But those rare survivors that have remained sharp, bright, and well preserved are the ones that collectors hunt for with passion. A 1942 penny in pristine condition, with crisp details in Abraham Lincoln's beard, the wheat stalks on the reverse side, the lettering around the motto, and the original luster shining across the surface, can reach values many people would never expect. The design itself is a piece of American numismatic art. The obverse features the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln that has defined the American penny for generations, sculpted by Victor David Brenner in celebration of Lincoln's 100th birthday back in 1909. Above his head can be found the famous motto, "In God We Trust." To the left of his portrait is the word Liberty, while the date appears just below his chin. The reverse displays the iconic wheat ears that give the Lincoln wheat cent its nickname. Curving upward across the top are the words 1 cent, followed by United States of America centered beneath, and the phrase E pluribus unum positioned gracefully at the top sky of the coin. These simple design elements, used for only 50 years, have become deeply tied to American history. The wheat penny is not just a piece of currency. It is a snapshot of the nation during the first half of the 20th century, from the Industrial Age and the Great Depression to 2 world wars and a rapidly changing society. That legacy is part of why the 1942 penny holds such powerful interest today. But history alone does not create value. What truly takes a 1942 no-mint mark wheat penny from interesting to incredible are the unique characteristics of its individual condition. Collectors and grading services evaluate these coins using a detailed scale. A coin with heavy wear may only be worth a few cents, while one in lightly circulated condition might be worth a few dollars. But when a coin appears almost untouched, sharp, clean, and visually stunning, its price begins to rise dramatically. In the rarest cases, a 1942 penny has survived with what collectors call mint state condition, with original luster, sharp strike, and minimal marks. These coins stand out from the rest as time capsules, untouched examples of how the penny looked the moment it left the presses at the Philadelphia Mint more than 80 years ago. A perfect example sits in the auction records. One particular specimen, preserved in nearly flawless condition, stunned collectors when it crossed the auction block. The bidding climbed rapidly as numismatists recognized how extraordinary the coin was, not just for its age and rarity but because it showcased an exceptional level of preservation. In the world of coin collecting, perfection is everything, and high-grade Lincoln wheat cents from the early 1940s are far scarcer than many assume. After intense bidding, this stunning 1942 coin achieved a value that most people would never imagine for a penny. Every time a story like this emerges, it sparks new treasure hunts. People begin checking their pocket change, family coin jars, inherited collections, and dusty boxes in storage drawers. Someone, somewhere, may be holding a forgotten penny that could fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars, all because it was saved in the right condition or simply overlooked for decades. That possibility is what makes coin collecting so thrilling. You never know what might still be hiding in circulation. Collectors today look closely not only at condition but at subtle minting variations. Small die cracks, doubled lettering, off-center strikes, uneven rims, or unusual planchet problems can all influence the final price. Errors, even minor ones, can bring premium attention and sometimes transform an ordinary penny into a unique piece cherished by specialists. While the majority of 1942 pennies are perfectly normal, error varieties do exist, and they add an extra layer of intrigue. That is why serious and casual collectors alike often inspect coins under magnification, searching for those small anomalies that most people miss at a glance. The 1942 penny also holds sentimental value for many families. A grandparent or great-grandparent may have lived through World War II, saving coins from their childhood or military service. A small pouch of wheat pennies may sit in an old jewelry box or personal scrapbook. These little keepsakes tell stories not just of minting and circulation but of the American experience. Behind each coin is the memory of a time when the world was changing, when necessities were rationed, and when even a penny could represent genuine strain or sacrifice. Holding a 1942 penny is like holding a tiny piece of the American journey. Collectors around the world continue to seek out the 1942 no-mint mark wheat penny for exactly these reasons. It is historical, visually iconic, and surprisingly valuable in the right condition. Whether discovered in a coin shop, a family inheritance, or a forgotten change jar, it has the power to shock with its financial potential. Most people are unaware that a penny from this era can bring in hundreds or thousands of dollars. And yet, auction results continue to prove that these values are not just stories but real, verified sales that reward those fortunate enough to hold an extraordinary example. For anyone just beginning their journey into coin collecting, the 1942 penny is a fantastic starting point. It teaches all the core lessons of numismatics. Value depends on rarity, condition is crucial, history matters, and small details can transform a coin from ordinary to exceptional. It is a coin that connects generations, invites research, and rewards curiosity. And of course, it represents the enduring spirit of the American mint, preserving art, craftsmanship, and history in something as simple as a copper cent. With all of this in mind, the record price for a stunning 1942 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, preserved in remarkable mint condition, was an incredible $37,776. In the world of American coin collecting, few treasures capture the imagination of experts, hobbyists, and fortune hunters quite like the Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny. Since its introduction more than a century ago, this small copper coin has become a symbol of American history, wartime struggle, economic change, and pure numismatic excitement. Today, we dive into one particular date and mint mark that continues to astonish collectors with its scarcity, fascinating background, and striking auction results. This is the story of the United States of America 1944 D mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, a tiny coin that can command staggering prices when discovered in the right condition. To understand why the 1944 D penny holds such significance, we have to travel back to the heart of World War II. The United States was fully immersed in one of the largest conflicts in human history, and every aspect of life, from food to clothing to metals, was rationed. The government needed crucial resources for weapons, aircraft, vehicles, and industrial supply chains fueling the Allied war effort. In 1943, 1 year before the production of these famous copper wheat pennies, something dramatic happened. The mint temporarily abandoned copper entirely and began making pennies from zinc-coated steel, giving them a distinctive gray tone instead of their traditional reddish-brown appearance. This change was not a design choice but a necessity. Copper was too valuable for ammunition and communication equipment to waste even a fraction of it on coinage. But by 1944, the situation shifted. The mint returned to striking pennies in copper once again due to increasing public frustration with the steel coins rusting, staining, and jamming in vending and counting machines. The wartime decision had unintended consequences, and the mint reverted to its previous composition. What most collectors do not realize is that these 1944 pennies did not use newly mined copper. Instead, much of the metal came from recycled shell casings recovered from military training grounds. This means the 1944 penny is literally minted from the remnants of war, a historical artifact forged from the material of battle itself. Among the various mints producing coins that year, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, the Denver Mint issued millions of 1944 wheat pennies. However, not all of them are considered equal in terms of value. The typical 1944 D penny found in ordinary circulation is not rare from a quantity standpoint. Tens of millions flowed through commerce for decades. What makes this coin truly valuable is not just its date and mint mark, but its condition, sharp strike quality, rarity in top grade, and the demand from high-end collectors determined to secure the finest example available. If a collector comes across a 1944 D penny that has been well circulated, showing wear, and missing much of its finer details, it might still be worth more than its face value. But not dramatically so. However, the story changes completely when a coin surfaces in near-perfect or mint condition. These extremely well-preserved coins, especially those graded by top certification services, jump into an entirely different category of desirability and competition. High-grade examples are not simply rare, they are spectacular survivors, treasured for making it through 80 years of time without being damaged, scratched, lost, or degraded. Let's imagine the journey of one of these special pennies. Minted in Denver, it rolled off the coin press with crisp edges, full wheat stalk lines, and the gleaming luster of freshly struck copper. Instead of going into regular circulation where it would be spent again and again, in grocery stores, gas stations, or theaters, perhaps it was immediately saved by a collector, banker, or coin enthusiast the moment it was minted. It may have been tucked away in a coin folder or bank roll, kept in a home drawer untouched. Decades passed. Wars began and ended, new presidents took office, the economy changed, technology transformed the world. Yet this tiny copper coin managed to remain exactly as it was the day it left the mint. This is what makes these flawless, high-grade wheat pennies so valuable. When collectors or investors compete for coins at this level, the prices can climb beyond what the average person expects. It is not uncommon to see auction houses filled with bidding wars as determined buyers do everything in their power to secure the single best-known example available to the market. A coin can go from pocket change to life-changing in an instant, and the 1944 D penny has become one of these thrilling cases. Another reason this coin captivates buyers is the many fascinating errors and variations known to exist from the wartime era. There are extremely rare cases of transitional errors where a 1944 penny was struck on a leftover steel planchet from 1943 instead of returning to copper. These unusual mistakes are among the rarest known pieces in all of United States coinage and can sell for incredible amounts. While the video today focuses on the standard copper version, collectors understand that this wartime period is full of strange stories, experimental decisions, minting changes, and unpredictable results. Every collector who examines a 1944 penny does so with the possibility of discovering something rare. For a standard copper 1944 D penny, the question becomes, what specifically determines its value? The first factor is grade, the condition of the coin. Professional grading companies assign sharpness and preservation ratings, and the highest, mint state, grades are where the real magic happens. Coins showing full detail, blazing luster, and no signs of handling qualify for top tiers. Only a tiny percentage of coins survive in such pristine state. These are the coins that fetch auction records and become the stars of numismatic headlines. The second factor is eye appeal. Even two coins of identical technical grade can differ dramatically in desirability based on color, toning, and strike quality. A penny with rich red copper brilliance may exceed one with dull brown patina in price. Collectors want coins that stand out visually, not just technically. Third, the history of ownership and authentication matters. If a coin comes from a notable collection or has been illustrated in a famous book or catalog, the pedigree enhances value. Auction houses often emphasize these histories to increase bidder interest. The fourth factor is timing and demand. When the market is hot, collector enthusiasm pushes values even higher. Experienced buyers follow trends, rarity reports, and bidding patterns to decide when the right moment to strike has arrived. But even beyond money, the 1944 D penny is a meaningful historical artifact. It represents the resilience of a nation at war, the creativity of its minting system, and the incredible journey of everyday objects that turn into rare treasures. Many collectors today remember finding their first wheat penny in childhood, sparking a lifetime of fascination with American history in miniature. Each coin carries stories of the people who spent it, saved it, exchanged it, and passed it down through generations. Walking into a coin convention, library, or collector club, you can hear conversations about this penny even now. People compare notes about their best finds, display their slabbed examples, share auction records, and offer tips on how to detect key features. This shared excitement is what makes the hobby come alive. Maybe someone discovered a shiny 1944 D wheat penny in an inherited box of coins stored in a relative's attic. Maybe another collector found one at a small local shop where the owner didn't realize its rarity. These stories remind us that valuable coins are still out there. Anyone with patience, curiosity, and a little bit of luck can make an extraordinary discovery. In the end, the 1944 D Lincoln wheat penny is more than a small copper disc. It is history made tangible. It is a symbol of wartime America and a testament to the power of collecting. It is a reminder that treasure still exists in the most ordinary places, in pockets, drawers, jars, boxes, and forgotten coin rolls. So keep searching, keep learning, and never underestimate what a single penny can be worth. Because one of these coins has sold for an astonishing price of $54,222. In the world of American coin collecting, there are few coins as iconic and as widely recognized as the Lincoln wheat penny. Among the many dates minted, there are some years that stand out, not because of special designs or limited production, but because of the unique historical conditions in which they were created, the variations that occurred during minting, and the remarkable condition in which rare survivors exist today. One such coin is the United States 1945 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny. This coin, produced in the final year of World War II, has a story that stretches far beyond the copper content of its metal, making it a fascinating collectible piece that continues to capture the attention of collectors across the United States and around the world. The year 1945 was a turning point in history. The war was nearing its end. The United States had seen years of rationing, metal shortages, economic readjustment, and millions of American families were waiting for their loved ones to return home. In the midst of all this, the United States Mint continued to produce circulating currency to support the nation's economy and daily transactions. Most people using the 1945 penny at the time had no idea that nearly 8 decades later, a single example in extremely well-preserved condition would become a coveted treasure worth significant money. To the average American in 1945, a penny was simply enough to buy a piece of candy or add change toward a newspaper. Today, rare surviving specimens of the 1945 no-mint mark penny in high grade are worth much more than anyone could have imagined back then. The term, no-mint mark, simply means that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During this period, the Philadelphia Mint did not place a mint mark on Lincoln cents. It wasn't until decades later that the absence of a mint mark became recognized by collectors as an identifying detail. The Philadelphia Mint produced an enormous number of these pennies in 1945, totaling hundreds of millions. Because of this, many people assume that the coin has no collectible value. However, rarity in coin collecting does not always mean low mintage. Sometimes it is the rarity of condition that transforms an ordinary coin into an extraordinary one. Most 1945 pennies circulated heavily. People used them daily, passing them from hand to hand, dropping them into cash registers, banks, and war donation boxes. As a result, the majority of surviving 1945 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat pennies today are heavily worn with dull surfaces, scratches, discoloration, spots, or corrosion. Finding one in pocket change today is not impossible, but finding a sharply struck, clean, bright, and uncirculated example is another story entirely. The longer a coin circulated in commerce, the more its original mint luster faded. That is why coin grading plays a major role in determining value. A collector evaluating a 1945 penny will closely examine details such as President Abraham Lincoln's hair strands, the clarity of the lettering, the integrity of the wheat stalks on the reverse, and the shine of the original copper surface. The higher the grade, the higher the value. A well-preserved example that looks almost as fresh as the day it was minted can bring extremely strong prices at auction, especially if certified by major grading services like PCGS or NGC.to. Understand the significance of the 1945 penny. It also helps to consider what happened just a couple of years earlier. In 1943, because of wartime metal demands, the mint struck pennies out of zinc-coated steel instead of copper. Only 2 years later, in 1945, the nation returned to using copper cents again. This makes 1945 one of the early post-war issues, and collectors often group it with coins that represent the transition back to normal U.S. mint operations after metal rationing ended. Even though the 1945 penny looks ordinary at first glance, its place in American wartime history gives a deeper meaning. Every one of these coins passed through hands that lived through a world-changing era. For many collectors, this emotional connection is just as important as monetary value. Another reason the 1945 no-mint mark penny attracts collectors is because several varieties and eras exist. These include die cracks, filled-in letters, repunched mint mark style impressions by similarity from other years, doubled die elements, and other minting anomalies. While not all of these varieties are extremely valuable, they add an exciting layer to searching through old coins. A coin with a visible die error often brings a premium, especially if the rest of the coin is in strong condition. Some collectors enjoy hunting through old jars, boxes, and estate collections in hopes of finding one of these prized pieces. Finding a 1945 penny in a family collection, old wallet, or coin jar can be an exciting moment. But the real test of value begins with examining its condition. A circulated example found in change may only be worth a few cents to a few dollars. However, a coin kept safe since the year it was minted, perhaps in an album or archival roll, could appear bright red and untuned, the most desirable condition for copper cents. This is where serious value begins. Uncirculated examples are graded using a 70-point scale. The higher the number, the closer the coin is to perfection, both in appearance and preservation. Coins that grade in the top range, especially mint state 66, 67, or above, are extremely rare for this year. That is because only a tiny percentage of cents from 1945 survived in pristine condition. Most were used in daily transactions, and even coins that were saved often acquired spots, fingerprints, or minor abrasions over time. A coin with original red color and minimal marks, certified at a high grade, has become an extremely desirable target for collectors who want the best example of this date and mint. Auction records show that collectors will pay significant money for top-graded examples. These high-grade coins represent the pinnacle of preservation for a date that saw widespread circulation. When one of these exceptional specimens appears for sale, serious bidders often compete fiercely for the chance to own it. The coin may not look special to the untrained eye, but to a collector who understands rarity in top grades, it represents a true prize. Even though millions were minted, the survival of exceptional coins today is extremely small. That scarcity is what determines value. It is not how many coins were made that matters, but how many exist today in the highest collectible condition. This principle can be seen across many areas of coin collecting. A common date in poor condition may be worth little, but the same coin in breathtakingly original form can suddenly become a rare treasure. For someone beginning to collect, the 1945 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny is an excellent coin to study. It teaches collectors the importance of grading, preservation, and market demand. It also teaches that some coins are valuable not because of metal, but because of the history they represent and the few that remain in exceptional state. This penny also connects collectors to the generation that lived through World War II, a time when the world was rapidly changing and the United States was transitioning toward peace and recovery. Coin collectors today often enjoy searching for 1945 wheat pennies in estate sales, coin dealer inventory, old forgotten coin jars, or inherited collections. Many people with little knowledge of coins may not realize what they have, and a sharp-eyed collector could potentially discover an uncirculated treasure tucked away for decades. The dream of finding a high-grade example continues to inspire collectors nationwide. The thrill of discovery, the suspense of grading results, and the possibility of turning a simple cent into a valuable collectible make coin collecting an exciting pursuit. If someone is lucky enough to obtain a high-grade 1945 Philadelphia wheat penny, especially one that retains its original luster and sharpness, that coin could command serious attention in the marketplace. Exceptional pieces may be submitted for professional grading, placed in sealed coin slabs, and later sold at major auctions where advanced collectors compete passionately for premium specimens. Records show that certain 1945 pennies in the highest mint state grades have achieved impressive prices when sold to serious numismatists seeking the finest surviving examples. And that brings us to the most extraordinary part of this story. One single 1945 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny in spectacular condition, certified at the top grade level, has sold for an astonishing $42,993. In the world of American coin collecting, few coins hold the historical charm, mystery, and everyday familiarity of the Lincoln wheat penny. And among all the dates that collectors search for, one special issue from the mid-1940s continues to stand out: the 1946 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat cent. At first glance, it looks like any ordinary penny that could have spent decades circulating in pockets, wallets, lunch counters, bus stations, jukeboxes, gas pumps, and grocery store drawers. But hidden behind its humble appearance lies a fascinating history tied to the end of the Second World War, changing United States minting practices, and the beginning of America's post-war economic boom. Today, collectors around the world search through old coin jars and inherited collections, hoping to find this simple yet historic copper coin in high-grade condition. To understand why the 1946 penny matters, we need to go back to the early 1940s, when the United States entered World War II. Copper was urgently needed for ammunition, military wiring, artillery, and battlefield equipment, and the U.S. Mint was ordered to reduce the metal used in non-essential production wherever possible. As collectors know, this is why 1943 saw the release of the famous steel cent, which today has become one of the most recognized and highly demanded coins in American numismatic history. But when the war ended in 1945, the United States Mint was finally able to return to copper coinage, and the 1946 wheat penny became the first full year of regular copper cents after the steel experiment. This gave the 1946 issue a symbolic place in minting history. It represented a return to normal life for millions of Americans, a stable economy beginning to rebuild, and hope for families who had endured years of rationing, separation, and uncertainty during wartime. Most 1946 pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not include mint marks at the time. That means the 1946 penny without a mint mark is not an error, rather, it simply indicates it was minted in Philadelphia. Even so, the number of coins struck was enormous, since America was booming with production, trade, and everyday spending. Millions of these coins entered circulation, and most of them experienced heavy wear over time, being passed from hand to hand for decades. Some rode in the pockets of factory workers, some purchased ice cream cones for children enjoying peacetime summers, and others sat inside register trays of newly opened American restaurants along Route 66. That is why high-grade examples today are not easy to come by. While circulated pieces are common, finding one that survived without scratches, dull surfaces, rim damage, or environmental wear is something truly special. The design of the coin was already well loved by the 1940s. The obverse features the enduring portrait of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of his birth. This portrait is simple yet dignified, capturing the strength and resolve of the 16th President of the United States. Surrounding the portrait are the inscriptions that collectors instantly recognize: Liberty, the date 1946, and above the portrait, the words "I in God we trust." The reverse displays the classic wheat ear design by Victor David Brenner, consisting of two sheaves of wheat curved inward, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above those inscriptions sits E pluribus unum, the motto meaning, "Out of many one," a message especially meaningful after a long global war. Together, the obverse and reverse represent the most iconic penny design in U.S. history, a design that collectors still cherish and continue to pursue more than 100 years after it first appeared. In circulated condition, the 1946 penny usually holds small collector value, especially if the coin is heavily worn. Many people collect them simply out of nostalgia, while others hope to find varieties, errors, or pieces that grade very highly. But the real excitement begins when we discuss condition and strike quality. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher grades indicating better surfaces, stronger luster, lack of contact marks, and overall beauty. If a 1946 cent spent only a short amount of time in circulation before being put away in a box, chest, or drawer, it may show sharp details, glowing mint luster, and clean fields. Such coins have dramatically higher value compared to average chips, scratched pieces, or dull examples that spent decades in circulation. Many high-grade pieces found today originate from old roll hoards, mint state collections, or coins preserved by early collectors shortly after release. Collectors especially treasure coins graded mint state 65 or higher. At that level, the strike is crisp, the surfaces are clean, the original reddish luster is often still present, and the coin looks nearly as fresh as the day it left the coining press in Philadelphia. These top-tier examples draw serious attention at auctions, especially when certified by leading grading companies. When such a coin appears at market in pristine condition, bidding from competitive collectors can rise with surprising speed. That is the power of condition rarity. Millions of coins may have been produced, but only a tiny fraction survive in top condition today. There is another factor that influences the 1946 penny's desirability: errors and die varieties. Although Philadelphia produced the largest share of coins that year, some dies were overused, repolished, misaligned, or struck with slight mechanical issues, resulting in minor variations. Some coins show die cracks, filled digits, tilted dies, or light doubling on the letters or date. Although most of these errors are subtle, advanced collectors enjoy studying them, documenting them, comparing them under magnification, and hunting for unusual examples in old change jars and inherited penny collections. In fact, error hunting has become one of the most popular pastimes in the YouTube coin community, as millions of people search through their pennies hoping to spot valuable differences missed by earlier generations. Of course, the thrill of coin collecting is not just about value, it is about the adventure and the story. Think about the families who once touched this coin, the soldiers returning home, the children saving pennies in glass jars, and the businesses that grew during America's golden post-war era. When a collector holds a 1946 penny, they are not just holding metal. They are holding the last echoes of a decade that changed modern history. It is a coin from a time when radios broadcast victory celebrations, when newspapers announced peace treaties, and when American households were rebuilding their future. The penny served in that moment as a tool of everyday life, 1 cent at a time, contributing to commerce, savings, small purchases, and countless memories. That is why many collectors treasure these coins even without rare errors or perfect grades. The emotional value is as real as the monetary worth, but the highest prices are reserved for exceptionally preserved examples. When a coin from 1946 emerges with bright surfaces, perfect edges, original mint red coloration, and no visible wear, it becomes a standout rarity. Only a few such coins are known, and they carry extraordinary appeal at public auctions. When collectors compete for such examples, bidding often climbs rapidly. The day a top-grade example sold shocked many coin enthusiasts, proving that even a common-year penny, when preserved in remarkable state, can bring tremendous value. This extraordinary sale demonstrated what the right historical coin, combined with proper grading and collector demand, can achieve. It also inspired countless coin hunters to return to their boxes, drawers, coffee cans, attic containers, and inherited collections, hoping lightning might strike again. Perhaps somewhere in America today, inside a forgotten roll of wheat pennies, another dazzling example rests, waiting for someone with patience, passion, and a careful eye to discover it. Collectors often ask how they can identify a coin worth serious money. The answer begins with condition. Does the coin still have mint luster? Is Lincoln's coat sharply detailed? Is the cheek free from contact marks? Are the reverse wheat lines strong, crisp, and well defined? Does the coin retain rich coloration rather than dull brown or environmental staining? These subtle details separate the ordinary from the exceptional. Next comes authentication. Professional grading by a recognized third-party service removes doubt and protects the coin's market value. A 1946 penny with a high certified grade instantly becomes more desirable and easier to sell. Finally, rarity and demand take over, and that is where true auction excitement occurs. The 1946 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny stands today as a tangible piece of post-war American history, a coin that witnessed the start of a flourishing nation, the rise of modern industry, and countless individual stories. The story of United States coins is filled with history, accidents, rare strikes, and forgotten pieces that today can be worth a small fortune. Among them stands a coin that many collectors overlook in their change jar, a classic piece of American mint history that quietly holds surprising value. The 1952 D-Mint mark Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny may look ordinary to most people, but behind its simple copper surface is a journey through time, the difficulties of post-war America, and the surprising rarity that can make this penny worth far more than a single cent. Imagine the year 1952. The Second World War was over, the United States was growing rapidly, and the nation was entering a new age of economic stability. It was a time when a penny could buy candy, news headlines talked about the presidential elections, and the American Mint produced millions of coins every single day. But in the Denver Mint, among the enormous number of pennies being struck, a small percentage came out with unusual perfection, clean strikes, and above-average quality. These special pieces, when preserved in pristine condition, would later become among the most sought-after 1950s pennies in the entire wheat cent series. The Lincoln Wheat Penny design had already been in circulation since 1909. Americans had grown so familiar with Abraham Lincoln's portrait on their pennies that it was almost inseparable from everyday life. But few people paid attention to mint marks. If a little D was stamped below the date, it simply meant the coin came from the Denver Mint. For children buying gum, soldiers sending letters home, workers getting their paycheck in small change, nobody imagined that some of these brown pennies would someday be collectible treasures. Today collectors look back and realize that not all coins survive equally. Most pennies from 1952 were spent, scratched, dented, and worn down by decades of handling. They fell between wooden floorboards, got lost in fields, burned in house fires, scraped against vending machines, and rolled across countless counters. Time was harsh on them. But the few that remained untouched, uncirculated, sharp in details, and preserved with original mint luster have become incredibly valuable to collectors and coin investors. Let's take a closer look at the coin itself. The obverse features the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His sharp profile, facing right, has been the longest-running coin portrait in United States history. Above him sits the motto adopted by Congress in 1956 but widely used long before, "In God We Trust." To the left is the word liberty, and to the right the date 1952, right above that tiny but significant mint mark D. On the reverse of the coin, two wheat stalks rise on both sides, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. At the very top, the motto E Pluribus Unum reminds us of the country's unity built from many states, many histories, and many voices. This design represents more than money. It represents Americana, farm fields, wartime sacrifice, industrial progress, and the backbone of an economy that helped shape the world. Millions of Americans touch these pennies every day without realizing that the smallest denominations of currency often carry the biggest stories. Mint production in 1952 was quite high. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of pennies that year, making the 1952 Dirty Wheat penny common in circulation. So why do some sell for impressive amounts today? The answer lies not in how many were made, but in how many were preserved in top condition. Coins fresh from the mint with sharp details, original red color, untouched fields, and minimal surface imperfections are incredibly rare. Only a very small number survived more than 70 years in nearly perfect condition. Most pennies stored in jars, dusty drawers, pockets, or coin purses naturally lose their luster and develop scratches or spots. Copper reacts with moisture and air, which results in darker brown surfaces, corrosion, or discoloration. So when a 1952 penny appears today with blazing red luster, flawless fields, and crisp details, collectors immediately recognize how extraordinary that coin is. The jump in value between a worn penny and a mint condition example is massive, sometimes thousands of times over. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC evaluate each coin under strict standards. Coins graded MS65, MS66, MS67, and above are extremely rare. Only a tiny percentage reach such levels. These high-grade pieces are the ones that sell for incredible prices at auctions. Collectors looking to complete a high-end wheat cent set need the best examples available, and with a finite number surviving, competition becomes fierce. This is how a penny that once bought candy now becomes a respected investment. But the value of the 1952 penny goes beyond just grading. Collectors also look for coins with strong strikes, meaning the details were cleanly impressed during minting. Some 1952 coins have weakly struck reverse tips on the wheat stalks or a soft Lincoln portrait. Others may show die lines, minor die cracks, or interesting features that appeal to specialists. Certain collectors even pursue varieties such as repunched mint marks, doubled dies, or unusual die states. These variations add another dimension of rarity and sometimes increase the price further. Imagine somebody discovering a mint condition 1952 penny in an old cigar box, forgotten in a family attic since the 1950s. Its surfaces still gleam, the wheat stalks sharp, Lincoln's bow tie crisp, the background flawless. That person might think it's just another old brown penny. But a trained collector or a coin shop owner would immediately recognize that this find could be extremely valuable. Stories like these happen more often than people think. Grandparents, returning soldiers, or thrifty Americans often saved rolls of pennies, sometimes without even realizing the future importance. These simple habits accidentally preserved history. Collectors today enjoy the thrill of the hunt. Searching through old coin rolls from banks, estate sales, flea markets, or inherited collections is part of the excitement. Some people spend years assembling the perfect wheat cent set, with every coin in high grade. Others are fascinated by the historical connection, knowing that these coins passed through the hands of Americans who lived through the Korean War, early television, new highways, booming industries, and changing lifestyles. Holding a 1952 penny is like holding a small piece of time itself. The popularity of wheat pennies has risen dramatically over the past 2 decades. Younger collectors have joined the hobby. Online auctions and coin marketplaces have made rare coins more accessible. Videos, educational channels, and coin forums teach viewers how to spot valuable coins hiding in plain sight. Some people even make side careers from coin roll hunting, buying old bank rolls and searching through them at home. As more collectors enter the market, high-grade examples become even more desired, and prices continue to climb. If someone today discovers a 1952 penny in loose change, chances are it will be worn and worth only a few cents. But if that coin is in extraordinary condition, untouched by circulation, glowing with original copper brilliance, it can be worth far more than most people would ever expect. And this is what makes collecting old American coins so exciting. A small copper disc can hold a story, a surprise, and even a financial opportunity. The 1952 penny teaches us that value is not simply based on age or mintage. It is based on survival, condition, history, and collector demand. It reminds us that sometimes the most surprising treasures are the ones we overlook. That every penny might hold the potential to spark wonder. And that in the world of numismatics, knowledge is the key that unlocks hidden value. Whether people collect coins for investment, history, nostalgia, education, or simply for the thrill of discovery, the 1952 Dirty Wheat penny remains a timeless piece. It represents an era of pride, progress, everyday American life, and the small things that become great over time. So the next time you spot an old wheat penny, take a closer look. You might be holding something more special than loose change. Among the finest examples ever sold, one stunning top-graded 1952 Lincoln wheat penny reached an auction price of $47,477.